The paradox of softness, how embracing vulnerability creates unshakable strength. Welcome to the soft girl era, beautiful souls. Today, I'm honored to share insights from my profound conversation with Johnette Dixon, a revolutionary visionary who has not only redefined leadership at the intersection of power and grace, but has fundamentally transformed how we understand strength itself. In boardrooms where hardness was the currency of respect, Johnette pioneered a movement that honors the full spectrum of human experience, creating spaces where vulnerability becomes the foundation of true influence, not its opposite. Have you ever noticed how deeply we've internalized the belief that softness and strength exist on the opposite ends of a spectrum? That to be taken seriously, especially as Black women, we must armor ourselves, speak louder, work harder, and show less emotion than everyone else in the room. This false dichotomy hasn't just limited us, it has wounded us profoundly. I remember sitting across from Johnette Dixon, watching her eyes light up as she described her revelation, that moment when everything shifted. I had spent years performing strength, she told me, leaning forward with an intensity that made me straighten my spine. I thought leadership meant never showing cracks, never admitting uncertainty, never revealing the toll it all took on me. She paused, her voice softening. But my greatest breakthroughs, my most meaningful connections, my most innovative solutions, they all came when I stopped performing strength and started embodying it, vulnerability and all. The world doesn't just want your productivity, she continued, her words resonating through me like a tuning fork. The world needs your presence, your full, unfiltered, gloriously complex presence. What struck me most about Johnette wasn't just her wisdom, but the remarkable ease with which she carried herself. Here was a woman who had climbed to heights many of us aspired to, yet she spoke about her journey with a refreshing absence of the battle weary exhaustion we've normalized in success stories. Instead, there was a lightness to her, a softness that didn't diminish her power, it amplified it. This is the paradox that changed everything for me. True strength isn't about how much weight you can carry without breaking. It's about how authentically you can show up, even when the weight feels unbearable. Let's be honest. We've been sold a dangerous narrative about what it means to be a high achieving Black woman. The strong Black woman trope isn't just exhausting, it's killing us, literally. The health disparities facing Black women are directly connected to this cultural expectation that we must endure, persist, and overcome without complaint. During our interview, Johnette shared something that stopped me in my tracks. The day I stopped wearing my exhaustion as a badge of honor, she said, was the day I truly began to lead. Think about that for a moment. How often have we found ourselves in competitions of who slept less, who worked more weekends, who sacrificed more of themselves at the altar of productivity? We've been taught that our worth is measured by our output, by how much we can produce while asking for little in return, by how long we can ignore our body's signals before it forces us to listen through illness or breakdown. This isn't strength. This is slow suicide disguised as success. What Johnette Dixon helped me understand is that embracing softness isn't about dimming your light or reducing your ambitions. It's about recognizing that sustainable success requires sustainable self practices. Softness, she explained, is simply the courage to honor your humanity in a world that often treats you as a machine. Let that sink in. Softness is courage. When was the last time you allowed yourself to be soft, to admit you were struggling, to ask for help before you reached your breaking point, to prioritize pleasure, not as a reward for productivity, but as an essential ingredient for your well being? If you're like most of the brilliant women I know, including myself, the answer might be rarely, if ever. We've been conditioned to believe that vulnerability is weakness, that rest is laziness, that boundaries are selfishness. We've internalized the lie that our value lies in our utility to others rather than in our inherent worth as human beings. Johnette Dixon's journey taught me that reclaiming softness is revolutionary. It's a radical act of self preservation in a world designed to extract everything from us until there is nothing left. She shared a turning point in her career. She had been working 18-hour days, sacrificing sleep, relationships, and health to prove herself in an environment that seemed determined to remind her that she didn't belong. I was so focused on proving my worth through productivity, she reflected, that I failed to recognize how this approach was reinforcing the very systems designed to exploit my labor. The breakthrough came not when she pushed harder, but when she paused, when she created space to question not just how she was working, but why. When she dared to imagine success defined by her terms rather than by metrics created without her in mind. This shift wasn't easy. Systems of oppression don't reward those who question them. But what Johnette discovered and what changed everything for her was that her softness wasn't a liability, it was her superpower. By reconnecting with her body's wisdom, by honoring her need for rest, by setting boundaries that protected her energy, she didn't become less effective. She became exponentially more powerful. Her creativity flourished. Her decision making improved. Her leadership deepened, not despite her softness, but because of it. When I stopped performing strength and started embodying it, she told me, everything changed. I realized that true power comes not from pushing through pain, but from processing it, not from hiding vulnerability, but from harnessing it. This is the essence of the soft girl era. It's not about being passive or diminishing yourself to make others comfortable. It's about recognizing that your wholeness, including your emotions, your needs, your desires, your boundaries, is the foundation of your power. It's about understanding that softness isn't the opposite of strength, it's the evolution of it. Think about water. Nothing is softer, more yielding than water, yet nothing can resist it in the long run. Water doesn't fight hardness with hardness. It simply flows, persists, transforms. It nourishes life. It carves canyons through mountains, not through force, but through consistent presence. This is the model of power that Johnette Dixon embodies, not the brittle strength of those who must constantly prove themselves, but the supple strength of those who know themselves. She shared a practice that transformed her relationship with achievement. Each morning, before checking emails or diving into tasks, she asked herself three questions. How do I want to feel today? What does my body need today? What boundaries will protect my peace today? Simple questions, profound impact. By starting with how she wants to feel rather than what she needs to accomplish, she centers her humanity in her productivity rather than sacrificing it. By listening to her body's needs, whether that's movement, rest, nourishment, or connection, she honors the vessel that carries her through this world rather than treating it as an inconvenience to be overcome. And by proactively identifying boundaries, she preserves her energy for what truly matters rather than depleting it on obligations that drain without replenishing. This approach doesn't mean she accomplishes less. Quite the opposite. By working from a place of wholeness rather than depletion, her contributions have greater impact with less effort. Efficiency isn't about doing more things, Johnette explained. It's about doing the right things from the right place for the right reasons. This wisdom challenges everything we've been taught about success. We've been conditioned to believe that achievement requires sacrifice of our health, our relationships, our joy. That suffering is the price of admission to excellence. But what if this narrative serves not our advancement, but our exploitation? What if sustainable success requires not the sacrifice of our humanity, but its full expression? This is a question at the heart of the soft girl era. It's an invitation to imagine success defined not by exhaustion, but by exhilaration, not by how much you produce, but by how fully you live. It's a reclamation of softness, not as weakness, but as wisdom, as the courage to honor your needs in a world that profits from your neglect of them. So today, I'm not just sharing Johnette Dixon's wisdom with you, I'm challenging you to revolutionize your relationship with strength itself, to question every narrative that has taught you that your worth lies in your productivity rather than your presence. I challenge you to examine where you've been performing strength rather than embodying it, where you've been wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor rather than recognizing it as a signal that something needs to change. I challenge you to reclaim rest not as a luxury, but as a necessity, to set boundaries not as selfishness, but as sacred protection of your energy, to embrace vulnerability not as weakness, but as the courage to show up authentically in a world that rewards performance over presence. This isn't just about individual well being, though that alone would be reason enough. This is about collective liberation because when we reject the false dichotomy between softness and strength, we begin to transform the systems that have profited from our exhaustion. We create new models of leadership that value sustainability over sacrifice. We demonstrate that excellence doesn't require the abandonment of our humanity, but its full expression. We show the world, and more importantly, we show ourselves that a soft woman is indeed a dangerous thing to underestimate. So today, make a commitment to yourself. Choose one area where you've been performing strength and dare to embody it instead. Listen to your body's wisdom. Set a boundary that protects your peace. Prioritize pleasure not as a reward for productivity, but as essential nourishment for your soul. And remember Johnette Dixon's powerful truth. The world doesn't just need what you can produce, it needs who you are, your full, unfiltered, gloriously complex self. May you have the courage to offer nothing less. And may you discover that in your softness lies your most unshakable strength.